Hey there, soulmates. It's your girl, Dr. Melissa, back with another soul stirring episode of Standing on Business, where it's not just business, it's personal. Today, I want us to have a heart to heart conversation about something that touches, I think, each and every one of us, and that is our brokenness. You know, part of my purposefully framework, um, the F The F in that framework stands for finding peace in our pieces. So, yeah, let's dig into this whole concept of brokenness. You know, that's those pieces of ourselves that we sometimes try to hide, those cracks in our story that we wish weren't there. But I'm here to tell you something powerful. Those very pieces, those very cracks, they are not our shame. They represent our strength. You see, I know what it feels like to look in the mirror and see only the broken pieces. I know what it feels like to look in the mirror and to wonder, how did I get here? How did this happen to me? You know, to look in the mirror and to question if you'll ever feel whole again. But let me tell you something. Your brokenness isn't the end of your story. The truth is, depending on how you look at that, it could be the very beginning of a powerful transformation. So let's talk about what brokenness really is. I mean, we hear it all the time, and people talk about people being broken and all of that. But let's talk about and unpack what it really is. You see, when I talk about brokenness, it's not just about feeling sad or hurt. Okay, it's so much deeper than that. In life, we go through things, ups and downs, disappointments, all of that. But when I'm talking about brokenness, I'm talking about those moments that shake us to our core. What does it look like? Well, maybe it's the end of a relationship that you thought would last forever. Maybe it's losing a job that defined your whole identity. You know, you helped build that company, and who you are and how you see yourself was wrapped up in the identity that you got from that work or that job or that profession or that title. It could be a health diagnosis that changes everything for you. It could be a dream that's shattered for your very eyes. Let me tell you, for me, it was pretty much all of those things at once, right? Um, for those of you who don't know my story, it was in 2018. After, at that time, I had been married 27 years, that my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer, terminal. And at that time, given 14 to 16 months to live. During that time, we were parents of 4 kids, 3 dogs, had started a business, all of the things. I never had a plan B. I got married when I was 20 years old. Started my life, started my family, checked all of the boxes, did all of the things, and so content with the blessings that I had been given in my life. I grew up very poor. And so a lot of the things that had happened in my life I knew was the miraculous. And I was deeply grateful and woke up every day thanking God for the blessing of my life. And then, just like that, everything changed. Um, Everything shattered right before my eyes. So when I said the end of a relationship that you thought would last forever, check. When I said losing a job that defines your identity, um, when it comes down to our business and how I had to pivot with that, check. When I said a health diagnosis that changes everything, check. When I said a dream that shattered, check. All of the things. And I'm not alone. My story, while deeply traumatic and something that shook me to my core, there are many, many, many people that can identify with what I'm saying. Maybe it wasn't stage 4 cancer. Maybe it wasn't that nefarious. But let me tell you, what shakes us to our core is deeply personal. And it does not have to be the ending of a 31-year marriage. It could be the ending of a 10-year friendship. It could be the betrayal of someone close to you. It could be finding out something about your past or dealing with something about your past that forever changes how you see things and how you define things, whatever it is. I want to make sure that I give each and every one of us permission to embrace our own moments of reckoning. And I say that because sometimes I talk to people, particularly throughout my coaching, and they'll say, I don't have a story, Dr. Melissa. I grew up in a 2-parent home and I grew up in a middle class life. And I never had anything deeply traumatic happen to me. And in their mind, the story, the moment of reckoning, the brokenness has to be packaged in something deeply like, oh my goodness, tragic. And I want you to understand that when we do that, when we start comparing our stories, sometimes we can minimize what we've gone through and start to um, basically underestimate, undervalue our own journey because it's not as deep as that person. And then the flip side of that, if we've had something deeply traumatic and tragic, we can almost feel like we own the rights to trauma and to brokenness. Oh, no, no, no. You don't know brokenness. I know brokenness. So let's just go ahead and let's level the playing field. Whatever has shaken you to the core qualifies as your reckoning moment. Okay? And what I really want you to understand is that those experiences, they're universal. They are part of the human experience. But here's the thing that most people don't realize, and that is that brokenness has a purpose. You see, just like a seed must crack open for new life to emerge, sometimes we need to be broken open for our true strength to emerge. You know, it's that whole concept of whether you are planted or buried, they look the same. They both involve going into the ground underneath where it's cold and dark and scary. But if you're buried, that's it. That process represents the end. But if you're planted, if you are a seed, ooh, baby, that represents the beginning of something different and new and beautiful. So I want you to think about, and I just recently read this, there's this Japanese process. I want to say it's like kintsugi or it's something like that, y'all. Okay, I'm a country girl from Virginia, so just, yeah. But there's a process, it's the art of how they repair broken pottery, right? In this process, they repair broken pottery with gold. You see, in this Japanese process, they don't try to hide the cracks. Instead, they highlight them with gold. which creates something even more beautiful than the original. And listen, that's what we're going to learn to do with our own lives. We're going to stop hiding our cracks and we're going to start highlighting our cracks and making something even more beautiful than before. So that leads me to introduce you to a topic, something that's very powerful. And it is the whole concept of post-traumatic growth, PTG. Now, you guys, I did not make that up. For those of you that are like, she made that up. I did not make that up, y'all. I know we've all heard about PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've been in behavioral health for 30 years. So I have worked with countless people who have dealt with PTSD, and it's a very real thing. But I want you to know that there's also PTG. And what that means is trauma, while it can produce a stress disorder, it can also be the catalyst for extraordinary growth. You see, PTG, post-traumatic growth, isn't just about recovering. It's about emerging stronger, wiser, and more purposeful than before. It's about allowing that thing that you went through to produce your superpower, that you walked out of that with your cape. You know, research shows that people who experience significant crisis, they often also report, listen to this, while it can be the other stuff and people can become deeply depressed and people can experience tremendous stress and other mental disorders, emotional disorders. Sometimes when people go through significant crisis, they walk away with deeper relationships and greater compassion for others. In other words, I went through something that caused me to understand how someone else might be dealing with things. Maybe I didn't have that experience before the trauma, but after the trauma, I realized that there are a plethora of people in the world who are going through challenges, and it increases my compassion and my ability to empathize. Going through crisis can also help us to discover new possibilities in life. For me, my trauma, my time of brokenness broke me right into my purpose. I ultimately became the purpose prophetess that was sort of born out of the storm of my life. I became a TEDx speaker, born from the storm of my life. I am talking to you right now, born from the crisis of my life. I would have never done this prior to the trauma. People who go through crisis sometimes come out with increased personal strength. They didn't know that they were built for this. They sometimes realize that the thing that they thought was designed to kill them actually build them. Another byproduct of crisis can be spiritual growth. Woo, that was a big one for me. The whole concept of faith, the whole concept of believing in something bigger and higher than me, the whole concept of believing in calling and that all things work together for the good. Like these were concepts that grounded me. And I walked away from my particular crisis stronger spiritually than I had ever been. And I'd always been a woman of faith. When you go through crisis, people also walk away sometimes with a greater appreciation of life. Whew. I think, I know that I took life for granted prior to 2018. It just seemed that you had all the time in the world. It just seemed that the plan A, which was to grow old and watch grandchildren and great grandchildren and all of that, it just seemed that that was a given. And then I realized that none of that was etched in stone. And in a moment, life can be gone. So I wake up every day, you guys, with a whole different kind of intentionality because I've had the unfortunate experience of knowing how fleeting life can be. And it doesn't matter if you're healthy and it doesn't matter if you do all of the things, right? We're human, and our human bodies, there's a frailty that it's out of our control. So I have a greater appreciation for life. So let me tell you something profound when we talk about PTG, post-traumatic growth. And that is, it's not just about positive thinking. You're like, oh yeah, that's, if you think positively, that's great. But you guys, this is science. When I said before I didn't make this up, I did not make this up, y'all. My kids sometimes say, oh, mama, you're making it up. No, I did not make this up. This is science. So I want you to go do your research. Post-traumatic growth is really about your brain and your spirit working together to help transform your pain into power, right? Okay, guys, this is some good stuff. This is some delicious, yummy, good stuff. But let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. But be sure you come right on back, because on the other side of the break, we're going to continue to dive into this whole concept of finding peace in your pieces. See you in a moment.
Welcome to a unique brew of perspectives. What's the Tea with Gen XYZ is your one-stop spot for a fresh take on today's burning issues. Representing 3 generations, a Gen X icon, a millennial maverick, and a Gen Z trailblazer stir up conversations ranging from social justice to pop culture. They'll bring the heat, spill the honest truth, and find common ground across the years. Expect humor, candor, and perhaps a dash of healthy debate. Enlightening, insightful, and sure to stir the pot. Stay tuned for a stimulating dialogue that bridges the generation gap, one cup at a time.
Okay, welcome back. I am really grateful for that commercial because your girl was choking, okay? Cold and flu season. Okay, so now I want to talk about something that may sound crazy at first, but I just want you to hang out with me now. Just hear me out. And that is, what if the crisis, the trauma, storm that you went through was necessary? What if it was necessary for your growth? You know, I wrote a book with that very title. It was necessary. And in that book, I unpacked the concept of PTG, post-traumatic growth, but I also talk about the it's of our lives. And for purposes of that book, the it's represent the storms. It represents the unexpected, unfair, unwelcome, unwanted things that happen in our lives, the tragic things, the traumatic things, all of that. When I say it was necessary, the trauma was necessary. The unwanted thing was necessary. The unfair thing was necessary. And I know it could be a challenging concept to wrap your mind around. And somebody might be looking like, have you lost your mind? And I will say that in the middle of my I would have said exactly what you might be thinking. There is no good. There is no purpose for this kind of pain. It is unfair. It is unwarranted. It's unnecessary. But I'm going to tell you that is actually the opposite. Every storm, every it can become the catalyst for tremendous growth. Let me prove it to you. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about a butterfly. A butterfly that's in the cocoon. And you need to understand that a butterfly needs the struggle of breaking free from the cocoon to strengthen its wings. For instance, so if someone was to see a cocoon, and I know this has happened before, and they see the butterfly struggling, and if you were to go in and free the butterfly from the cocoon, the butterfly wouldn't be able to survive, because it is the process. It's the process of struggling in the cocoon that gives it the strength to then fly. If you help it break free, if you free it, rescue it from its struggle, it would never be able to fly. So the same thing, your crisis, that thing that broke you, I'm here to tell you it's not your enemy. It's the catalyst. It is your cocoon moment. It is preparing you for your flight. And I want you to understand that this is a view that I have taken on the outside of the storm. And so it is absolutely okay that if you're in the middle of your it, like smack dab in the middle of your it, you may be putting a couple letters in front of that it and saying, no, ma'am. And that's okay. I want to plant the seed, not necessarily for this moment right now, but I want to plant the seed for what's to come, so that at some point you will be able to find meaning, attach meaning to what you're going through. Because when something is just meaningless, when it's just pain without a purpose, it's just like, oh my goodness, there's no value in this. And when that's the case, then you're right. You walk away and you've gone through all of that pain and there's no payoff for it. But I'm here to tell you that pain really, really should pay you. So here's what I want you to know. Here's the key. The growth that I'm talking about doesn't necessarily happen in the crisis. It happens based on how we respond to it. So you see, it's about the meaning that we choose to make from our experiences. So it's not that pain, oh, I need to go through pain. I need to suffer for me to become strong. It's not that. It's that suffering and pain and experiences will happen if we stay on this planet. Everybody's going to have an it moment. They don't all look the same. They don't all happen at the same stage of our lives, but you will have an it moment. It's not the it that necessarily produces the growth. It's what I choose to see about the it. It's how I choose to understand that the it doesn't define me. It came to refine me, right? So when I say this, you guys, this is where the whole concept of gratitude comes in. And I want you to know, I'm not talking about toxic positivity. I've met those people where no matter what they go through, they go, it's okay. My house burned down. Oh, but you know what? It's okay because I wanted a new house anyway. Relationship end. Well, it's okay because, it's time for a change. I'm not talking about toxic positivity where we just ignore pain. And I'm definitely not saying be grateful for the pain. Oh, I'm so grateful that he left me. I'm so grateful that they fired me. You're better than me. So I'm not saying be grateful for the pain. I'm saying that we can learn to be grateful for what the pain teaches us. We can be grateful for the lessons. So you might be saying, how do I do that? Well, I'm going to tell you to start small. Maybe you're grateful that your crisis showed you who your true friends are. And that certainly happened to me. Sometimes when you go through a storm, it blows away anything that's not real and anything that's not rooted and grounded. So maybe you're just grateful that it revealed some things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. Maybe you can be grateful that hitting rock bottom showed you your own strength. Like, wow, I didn't think I could survive that, and I did. Maybe you are grateful because your struggle gave you empathy for others that are hurting. Maybe you're grateful because your pain showed you who you are and your purpose, right? So, if you know me, you know that I'm practical. So, let me give you some practical steps to be able to find peace in your pieces. The first thing is, I want you to acknowledge your pain. And listen, don't rush to heal. Like, acknowledge your pain. This is painful. I am hurting. This is unfair. This is unexpected. This is unwelcome. This is unwarranted. This shouldn't have happened to me. I didn't deserve this. All of those things. Acknowledge the pain. And don't then say, okay, I've acknowledged it. Now I just need to be healed tomorrow. No, I want you to honor your journey. Believe it or not, the gratitude, the strength, the purpose, the resolve comes as a part of the journey. Every day I became stronger. Every day I had a new revelation of who I was. Every day I had something new to focus on that wouldn't have been known to me had I not been in the middle of the storm. Every day. Some days felt like I had taken 3 steps back. Some days I was like, oh my goodness, I am not getting better. Because it was one of those days where putting one foot before the other was all I could do. And then there would be some days I would wake up and I would have this strength and this resilience and this hope. But I honored the journey that every day wasn't going to be a hope day. Some days was going to be a nope day. Some days I was full of hope and some day it was like, nope, not today. So honor your journey. Number 2, I want you to journal your journey. Those of you that are not journaling, everything doesn't work for everyone. So I'm not a one size fit all person. So even if you're not a person that want to write down or, put pen to paper, I want you to record your thoughts. Okay. I want you to chronicle your journey so that you can look back at your struggles and your victories. Because I will tell you, one of the greatest things for me now is to be able to go back and look at my journal from when I was in the middle of the storm. And oh my goodness, talk about increasing gratitude. Whew. Some things that I read, some entries, I'm like, I cannot believe how far I've come. I can remember what I felt like on that day. And on that day, I felt like I'm not going to be able to make it. It's never going to get better. And so now I get to go back and read and remember, and then to be so grateful that I made it. So start journaling. Journal your journey. Number 3, I need you to find your tribe. Yes, this is not meant to be a journey that you take alone. It is so much more difficult when you try to go it alone. So I want you to connect with other people who understand your path. Find community. Find other people who are going through it, but people who have overcome it. Because oftentimes all we need is evidence, a picture of what it looks like to make it. I will tell you, I'm sitting here today talking to you, hoping that I am able to provide that for someone. The evidence that even when life throws you a curveball that you think you cannot overcome, even when everything is snatched away from you, even when everyone, the people that have meant the most to you, you wake up and you look and they're gone for whatever reason. I want to paint a picture of what it looks like on the other side, of what purpose, turning pain into purpose looks like. Making pain pay you back. Finding your power. from the midst of your pain, right? So connect with others. It helps to have other people who are going through it so that you understand that I'm not alone. But then it also helps to connect so that you can see what the other side looks like. That will give you the resilience on those days, those nope days. The hope days are good, but those nope days, you need something to remind you that this too will pass, that the storm didn't come to stay. The storm came to pass. Okay? And I want you to also practice mindful gratitude. So each day, find one thing that your struggle has taught you. One thing that your trauma, your pain, your brokenness has helped you to realize or to do. Like find one thing to be grateful for. Every day, I do a gratitude journal. Every day, I find what I'm grateful for. For me, it's 5 things. It's hard to be in gratitude and anxiety at the same time. It's hard to be in complaint and gratitude at the same time. Your brain just can't complain and be grateful at the same time. So you condition it, you set your mind. Let me focus on, because there's a ton of things I could complain about. But when I default to gratitude, it's hard to complain. Another thing I want you to do, and this is a big one, serve. Yeah, even in the midst of your pain. Use your experience to help someone else heal. Now, that may not necessarily happen when you're in the throes of the storm. As when you're in the throes of the storm, you're just trying not to get blown away yourself. But I want you to understand that everything that you're going through, every test is your testimony. Every mess is your message. And so when you take the view that I didn't just go through this just for myself, I went through what I went through with the loss of my 31-year marriage and friends and people that I thought would always be there and my plan A and all of that. I went through that for someone who's watching me right now. Someone who's in the middle of it right now who might be saying, this is not survivable, or I don't think anybody else would understand. And I'm here to say, hey, sis, I do. So use your experience to help someone else. Now I'm going to tell you, that's where the magic happens. This is when you start to see how your broken pieces can become a bridge for others. Your story, your struggle, your survival. It all has purpose, right? I want you to think about it. Who better to help someone through grief than someone who is grieved? Who better to guide someone through recovery than someone who has recovered? Who better to show someone the way out of darkness than someone who has found their own light? You see, your broken pieces, they're not just part of your past. They're the building blocks of your purpose. They are the tools that you use to help other people find their way. So, soulmates, I want to end today. I want you to leave here knowing something deep, deep, deep in your spirit. And it's going to contradict everything I've said for the past 30 some odd minutes. Because I've been talking about brokenness, right? Here's the thing. You are actually not broken. Mm-mm. You are breaking out of your cage, out of your comfort zone, so that you can explore what is possible. You're not broken. You are breaking away from anything or anyone who has held you hostage to your history, but deterring you from your destiny. You're not broken. You are breaking up with that lower version of yourself, that version of you that is content with playing small and settling for less than what God has for you. So you see, soulmate, you're not broken at all. You are breaking through. Every crack in your story is a place where new light can enter. Every piece of your past is a big part of your power. Your journey of healing isn't about putting yourself back together. It's about creating something new, something stronger, something more beautiful, something more purposeful than before. I want you to remember that the most powerful healing happens when we stop trying to hide our scars and start using them to light the way for others. Because, see, you are not your broken pieces. You are the strength it took to carry them. You are the wisdom it took to learn from them. You are the courage it takes to share them. So, I want you to make a commitment to yourself today, not to ignore your pain, but to transform it. Not to hide your scars, putting on a mask and all of that. Don't hide your scars, but allow them to help you heal others. I want you to make a commitment today to not fear your broken pieces, but to find the peace and how they can make you whole. So, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that our discussion today has ignited a fire within you to embrace your authenticity, prioritize your growth, and infuse your life, your business with purpose. If you want more information about me, I want you to visit my website. I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on all of the socials. And then, if you're ready to take your life to the next level and align it with your purpose, I want to invite you to join our free community, the My Soul Purpose community. Because there you're going to have the opportunity to connect with like-minded entrepreneurs, like-minded people, so that you can gain clarity on your purpose and develop a roadmap for aligning your life and your business, if you have one, with your authentic self. Now, that community is absolutely free. So, to learn more and to secure your spot, you can join me at community.purposeprofitess.com. I cannot wait to support you there. So, join me next week as we dive deeper into the strategies and mindset shifts needed to build a purpose-driven life and a purpose-driven business. I want you to remember that you are purposeful and you are powerful. I believe in you, and I cannot wait to see the incredible things that you're going to achieve. So, until next time, my dear soulmates, keep standing up, keep standing out, and yes, keep standing on business. Bye for now.